All right, hello everybody. Hope all is well. Hope your day's going awesome so far. Here with it being Thursday. Welcome to this episode of review of This Is Us, the awesome show on NBC. Welcome to my channel here as well, the Sports Talk Network channel, where I do talk sports mainly, but I also sprinkle in TV reviews each and every week for TV shows, specifically Last Man Standing, This Is Us, Riverdale, MTV Scream whenever that show comes back, and some others that I have ones now in archived form is Baby Daddy, and there was one other as well that ended their series. Last Man Standing used to be an archived one, but this show was rejuvenated, brought back to life, came back. Now over on the Fox Network on Friday nights. You can follow me on Instagram at StevieK_06 or find me on Snapchat at StevieK_06. I welcome anybody. Send me a snap, send me pics, send me whatever. Hopefully be able to look forward to talking to people there. But here, let's talk about this show. This is Us, this most recent episode. And here are my notes. Toby is unusually scattered here in this installment. But this episode itself, titled Toby, is an unusual scattered installment of This Is Us, advancing nearly every major storyline that the show has going right now. But without a cohesive and unifying idea, though. But it's still in its idea and how this show is done, with having flashbacks and having it start with near the end of the story, then we go in reverse to the beginning, in a sense. And me now being brought up, I actually think that's pretty dang awesome. Just like how I like Life in Pieces is another show that I do a weekly review of when that show does come back on CBS for its new season. And the lovely females that are there. It's a nice Bonnie. See them in Playboy. But whether it's any of the kids or the moms. Anyways, but how I like them with the stories of each family member with each episode, and doing in those 4 kind of stories within one episode. Story about this part of the short family, this part, then this part, then this part, and then all together in 1 week or 1 day in that universe, in the Life in Pieces universe of that episode, if that makes sense to you. That's just how my brain sees it. My weirdness. Anyways, for that show, but for here and how it is done, and for what I've noticed and read up as well, and heard from some big fans like my friend Mounty's Corner, Ed the Mounty, talking about the show, and he's the one who got me into this and stuff like that. And I'm glad he did, because like I said, I like how it is. It's kind of confusing sometimes for me, especially me still getting used to it. Not been here for the years, or for the 2 years here now into season 3. It's just still a little bit new to me and different, but I'm sure I'll be fine with it. By the time we get to the finale of season 3, I'll be well versed into it, truly. Not that I'm not now. It's just I had to catch up. I was watching as well from the start of the new season of the series premiere there, because that's such. So hopefully, and I'm probably sure I will get used to that as well. But just wanted to share that because of the difference that's between Life in Pieces and This Is Us, and how they do their shows. One CBS, one NBC, but they're both awesome and unique to me. That I love is with Life in Pieces, the 4 different stories for each member of the short family, and it's still all encompassing a single situation or single week of what's going on, whether it's a holiday episode or otherwise. It all webs in just from a different family member's point of view, or a different family within the large family that is the short family there. And here you're starting at the end of the story and we're going backwards with flashbacks and kind of the life in reverse sort of thing, or how things go there. And that's unique and interesting. I'm still getting used to that. But anyways, moving right along. Sorry, I can't sing. Anyways, following the thoughtfully structured Vietnam episode last week, we head into this one about Toby. The episode also provides our first in-depth look at Toby, as the title says. Excuse me. And yet, because there's so much action around him, his arc never feels central. Instead, right, for further exploration that never quite comes. And that's the point of the show, to get you, right? I mean, Toby has long been one of the show's most diverse, less light character for some reason. But miraculously, Toby left me wanting more of him. We've lived Toby's life of battling clinical depression, cheering up his seemingly sad mother as a young boy while showing the beginning signs of his own troubles, watching his father pack up and leave as a teenager, listening to his ex-girlfriend, Josie, explain why she's leaving him, and finally hitting rock bottom. Rock bottom. Rock bottom. Sorry, I had to do that. I'm a big WWE fan, as you guys know by this channel, with my wrestling podcast. Each and every Thursday night, Steve's Wrestling Ramble, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, here at Sports Talk Network. Anyways, when he finally does hit rock bottom, unable to get out of bed, and with a long, shaggy beard. At his mother's encouragement, he finally gets himself out of his rut, starting medical treatment, cleaning up his scruff, and attending various meetings, including the one where he'd meet his future wife. The timing feels right for this window into Toby's lifelong struggle. He, of course, decided at the beginning of the season to discard his antidepressants in order to improve his chances of getting pregnant with Kate from the premiere, and has been trying his best to shield his withdrawal ever since. In the present day, we see this becoming too much to bear. Each time Toby cuts from the past to the present, he's staring into space with a mournful gaze. Shouldering a considerable weight, he and Kate are in the process of finding out whether the IVF treatment will work. A series of calls from Dr. Jasper keeps hope alive until they finally reach that fateful day. The fateful day which, with one viable embryo, they have a chance of getting pregnant and will learn the news at around 4 p.m. But they just have to get through the day. First, there's that point. Before she leaves for work, Kate says, "Thanks for being my rock." Toby says back, "Always." But when he exits the room, his face tells the whole story. He's barely hanging on to himself. Exactly, just like from the premiere, when Kate tells Toby that the doctor seems like she's going to change her mind and take Kate on as a client, even though the risks are high because of her weight, yes, and other reasons, I'm sure, that he's happy there, but then as he goes away from the room, or actually he's already away from the room, and he's looking at his notebook, and that 90% failure rate thing, he has double or triple circled. And he goes, stuff like that. So he's always, in that sense, been that way, at least since I've gotten to know him specifically as a character. So, and him, always saying always. I mean, you're not Richard Castle, when you say always, and how that was awesome with that TV show between Richard Castle and Kate and Kathleen Beckett, whose nickname was Kate. But anyways, just wanted to share that about that whole always stuff. Anyways, moving right along, while Kate goes to a gig, Toby heads to a pharmacist where he rather desperately explained his situation. He told, in response, to speak to his doctor immediately, and suggested he reach out to Kate as well. She can't know, he mutters to himself. He goes to an arcade to numb himself, but loses track of time, until a teen, waiting for her turn at the game he's stationed at, snaps him out of his daze. She tells him it's 3:40 p.m. he's late. Kate, meanwhile, spent her day working as a fully glammed up Adele stop for a birthday party. She's got the wig, the makeup, everything. She performed when we were young and is then greeted by the event's organizer, a bit confused. "You're seriously talented. You should be on The Voice," he says, which is all ironic in its own way. Before asking why she's stuck in a gig like this, she says she does it to pay the bills and adds, "When sad things happen to me, I tend to shut music out of my life. Fits and starts, right?" He responds, I hope things stay happy then. Could there be a future there? Who knows? Or that career. The episode also returns to the period following Jack's death, a timeline which fits into Kate's present day arc, specifically this week. Miguel shows up with a piano he found at a yard sale, lifting Rebecca's spirits immediately. Teenager Kate appears more conflicted about its presence, especially given what happened with Berkeley. She sits at the piano one night by herself, though, playing, only for her mother to join her. Kate can't bring herself to sing alongside Rebecca, but it's taken in turn. It's a lovely, painful scene, though, to me, and yet another that is a reminder that the Kate Rebecca really dynamic is among the show's richest, which ends with a moving sentiment from Rebecca, and she says, I quote, one day I know you're going to sit back at this piano and start singing again, because it's going to be a place where you can put all the sadness, and because it's what you're meant to do, it's your calling. It's your destiny. It's your destiny there. But all in all, I think a good episode. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, no, never mind. It was a good episode. But moving right along, when Toby cuts to Kate in the present, crying as she's plays the piano with Toby, nowhere in sight, it's a classic bit of This Is Us misdirection. Originally, we're watching a moment of sadness, which would mean she's learned she isn't pregnant. But as Toby walks through the door, late and apologetic, Kate looks at him in tears, but also with a smile. It worked, baby. It worked, baby. She says softly. Toby's overwhelmed by the significance of the mistake he made, that he probably couldn't have survived another round of this. And yes, that their dream may finally come true. He breaks down and repeats sorry to Kate profusely. She finally knows the truth and can work on getting him better. They can move through the next stage together. And that, in its own right, was the best for business and best for them. I mean, there's a lot of heavy stuff, but that seemed the heaviest. But moving right along here in the next back half section of this episode, which really was powerful and feels more and more significant than the various threads, it deserves more prominent placement. Instead, we check in on several other plots half-heartedly, making the whole installment feel a bit off balance, but that's just how the show seems to be to me. For starters, there's Randall and Beth. Last we saw them, Randall announced he was running for city council just before Beth told him she'd been fired from her job. The job keeping their family afloat. Toby, the show, opens on them in brighter spirits, with Randall gearing up for his first big campaign event and Beth preparing for a splash interview. I am coming home with nothing less than a six-figure offer, she says. Definitely. They split off as Randall attends a community gathering of his own making at a local barbecue joint he'd rented out to get his campaign rolling. Yeah, for both. Things don't go according to plan. Initially, for Randall, it seems to be a matter of getting attention. There's a healthy crowd at the event, but all anyone seems interested in is the food. Then he tries giving a speech without giving a speech, but loses the crowd completely when he tries bad-mouthing his rival, Saul Brown. The community essentially walks out. Offended by Randall's characterization of Brown as a politician disinterested in improving their quality of life. The owner of the restaurant bitterly explains to Randall why he was so wrong to handle this the way he did, telling him a story of how a landlord came in and raised rents on black folks astronomically until Sal came in and, in one way or another, talked the landlord down to a reasonable price. We don't owe Saul Brown our loyalty, he tells Randall. We owe him our life. Crucially, he also jabbed at Randall, telling him to go back where he belongs. One of this is as more intriguing strands so far to see is really interrogating Randall's sense of identity. His feeling that he exists between two worlds without a real place in either one. He gets slapped in the face with it once more, and it's intensely emotional to watch for sure. As for Beth, well, she tells Randall at the beginning of the episode not to cry at his event, but she herself breaks down in tears at her interview when she's forced to talk about her old job and botches her chance of securing the position. She doesn't tell Randall, though, trying to keep this very painful process to herself. We also get a bit of Randall in the past timeline, and he and Kevin head out for prom night while Kate stays behind with Rebecca. Teen Randall shows up at Allison's home, only for her father to refuse to take pictures of him with his daughter, not realizing Randall was black. He later finds Miguel outside his family's apartment when he returns, confessing to what happened. Miguel tells him about his own struggles, growing up a Puerto Rican immigrant in Pittsburgh. As if this episode weren't overstepped enough, we get a bit more origin story of how Miguel and Rebecca ended up together. In this episode, he dedicates a whole day to fixing the Pearson fridge, then takes in a very drunk post-prom Kevin when he shows up at his door. And then lastly, there's Kevin trying to learn the truth about Jack's time in Vietnam, a journey illuminated this week by what we learned, and more importantly saw last week. He's driven to Baltimore with Zoe as the show, Toby, this episode, begins, preparing to connect in person with Donnie Robinson, the man Vietnam revealed who was close to Jack in the war until he was medically evacuated after his foot was blown off. He survived, and as Kevin and Zoe show up on his doorstep, we see him leading a peaceful life with his wife. Furthermore, Donnie is delighted to meet Jack's son, though a bit reluctant to divulge too much, still delighted to meet him. And understandably, Donnie reveals what happened to him, showing Kevin the Purple Heart he received, and eventually explained that Jack saved his life. Kevin takes it all in, but tries to go deeper. He asks if his dad's alcoholism was a consequence of what he experienced in the war. How deep do you want to go here, son? He asks. Donnie asks. He tells Kevin the truth. Jack wasn't actually a medic, but a staff sergeant. Donnie then says Jack never wrote him back, and that further, he doesn't recognize most of the people in the photo Kevin dug up. In my experience with this particular war, sometimes the answers are so dark, you'd better off not having them. Kind of its own foreshadowing. But you know he's going to keep digging. You know, and we're going to find out. There's another side plot here about Zoe's ongoing romance with Kevin. In this episode, there are two instances of him disregarding her bluntness. Once, when he doesn't realize she uses a special pillowcase to keep her hair from getting dry. And again, when a gas station cashier treats her graciously, not really letting she's together with Kevin. It's interesting material, watching Zoe try to navigate this, but feels thrown into an episode already spinning so much about all different things. And the main thing being about Toby. Exactly. Donnie backtracks, though, a little, feeling that Kevin perhaps deserves to know Jack's story. He hands him some letters that Jack did, in fact, write him back, meaning he lied earlier. And he passes on a few photos, too, including one of the undoubtedly a bit of a twist, Jack with a woman in Vietnam, who's wearing the infamous necklace, which Kevin now holds close. As we hear more ahead in the show's Vietnam timeline, this mystery woman cliffhanger only adds the intrigue. What happened over there? Do we, as Donnie asked, really want to know the answers? Well, we'll find out next week on This Is Us, or moving forward on the show at all. Because this is really interesting to me specifically, especially when we're talking about war. Me being a former military member myself, I'm looking forward to seeing how all this turns out in its own right. Seriously, I do. And how I talked about how I really get with Jack, like his personality, his character. And in a sense now, Toby a little bit. Because I myself dealing with anxiety, him dealing with depression. I'm not on any medication, I just go to therapy, but it's just, at least for those two men in the series, in the show, I definitely connect with their characters, more so Jack than Toby, but still a little bit Toby, a lot of Jack, of how I feel connected. So hearing Jack's story continuing, and yeah, might go some dark roads of stuff, but his son's going to keep going, keep digging and finding out, because he wants to know. He has a right to know, obviously. That's his father. So it's understandable. And it's also real life in a sense, where a little bit wants to know what happened or what led up to things. Indeed. But I hope you guys all did enjoy this review Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to you all, fellow fans of the show, next week. As for this channel, I have my next video tonight, actually, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, Steve's Wrestling Rambo. Steve's Wrestling Rambo, where I will be predicting WWE Evolution, the company's first ever women's only pay-per-view event, and then just days later, next Friday after Halloween is on Thursday or Wednesday, Thursday. On that Friday, Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, a men's only pay-per-view event. So you have a women's only pay-per-view event in New York, WWE Evolution, and then you have WWE Crown Jewel on the next Friday, the following Friday, in Saudi Arabia. So for the men's only event. So makes sense, right? Hopefully it's an annual thing for the women, as it seems like to be for the men. Anyways, we'll talk about that in the wrestling show here for This Is Us. I look forward to uncovering the answers specifically about Jack and the situation. And we go from there. So enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the weather in your area. I'm sure it's beautiful weather there. It's right now 38 degrees and sunny here in Wisconsin. So there you go. And above all else, as always, take care.